Welcome to Resume Storyteller with Virginia Franco, bringing you interviews with industry experts and regular folks who tested the job search waters and succeeded, and strategies to tell your story and land you job interviews in 60 days, guaranteed. Here's your host, Virginia Franco.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Resume Stories podcast. I am delighted to introduce Hannah Morgan. She is a speaker and author who founded CareerSherpa.net to help job seekers find work faster. Her experience makes her an expert in this, and it includes 10 years in HR, outplacement services, workforce development, and business school career services. She speaks and writes about using social media, personal branding, and other modern job search strategies with publications all over the country. And she has helped job seekers to take control of their job search. So, Hannah, thank you so much. Welcome to the program. I'm very excited to have you on.
Well, thanks, Virginia. It's great to be here, and it's great to chat with you again. So thanks so much.
So give us a quick overview of what you do. How does Career Sherpa work?
So Career Sherpa gives me the opportunity to dispense job search advice. So I don't do a lot of work one-on-one with clients through Career Sherpa. I'll do an occasional phone call stuff, but what I love doing, based on the conversations I have with job seekers and conversations with recruiters and conversations with hiring managers, is sort of distill that information and provide it to job seekers in written form or oftentimes in presentations. I know myself well enough to know that I'm not really great at managing a calendar with appointments with clients. So we got to know where our strengths and weaknesses are. And I love writing. So I've been able to use sort of my passion for writing and my love of keeping current with what's going on in my relationships with recruiters and HR professionals to blend that into dispensing and writing about information that is going to help them improve how they job search. So Career Sherpa, you'll see me writing all the time. I write a lot on my own website, but I'll guest post and write articles in U.S. News and World Report. I'm a regular contributor there. Job Hunt ORG is another place where I regularly contribute. So I just love the opportunity to share, get information out there, and help job seekers.
Well, and what I love is that there's always so much going on. It can be overwhelming, and I feel like you encapsulate it and share it in a way that helps it to make sense because it can be confusing.
It can be confusing. Thank you for saying that. I think sometimes people get so mired, people that write about this stuff get so mired in the details that it becomes overwhelming to the job seeker. And I try and use sort of this 20,000-foot level approach where they don't need to know all of the dirty details, just enough so that the job seeker can do what they need to do. So thanks for saying that.
So how did you get to this role? What made you decide to take the leap and launch this?
So it's interesting, right? Everybody has a great backstory, and I think that it's an evolution, and it never really ends, right? This owning your own business and doing what you want to do in your career, we're always morphing and changing. So I love telling people really that it found me more than I found it. I had been doing a lot of work in human resources, and then I morphed into the world of outplacement services, and that morphed into working for a career center, and that is really where I morphed into having my own business. Sort of the timing was great, 2009, when there was a huge problem, right? Everybody was, thinking about how they could get their fingers into the market then, but I was already, well established in the work that I was doing. So, now is a really good time for me to branch out and do this on my own, because I'd been doing it for organizations all along. I'm like, there's enough need. And so it's just sort of continued to grow and sort of, as I said, morph, because the process of job search has slightly changed since then. So HR led to outplacement, which led to working in the Career Center for unemployed people, to starting my own business. And now I still do different things. Like right now, I'm actually contracting with a career center for a business school in there, helping their graduate students and their alumni. So different audience, same kind of service, but we have to just keep our fingers in nose and out there thinking about, okay, where else can I use these skills? Where else is there an audience for what I love to do?
Where's their need? Yeah. Okay.
Right. So it's not just us in this career field, but it's everybody in every field.
Oh, that's fascinating. I had no idea. So you obviously have worked with, you see so many different scenarios in terms of who is out there testing the job search waters. What are the biggest challenges facing those, people looking for a job today?
You know what? Today, I think job seekers face the same challenges today as they faced 10, 15, 20 years ago, except the problem is huge today, because the problem is this. When writing the resume and knowing how to sell yourself is the most important success factor in job search. So if you can't write your resume, you can't write a LinkedIn profile, and you don't understand the basic principles behind promoting yourself with a decent pitch, you can't get seen. People don't see your resume. They don't notice you. They don't understand what you're looking for. And that huge disconnect between what you're looking for and what the job seeker company has to offer, it's like you're speaking German and they're speaking French. They don't understand each other. And that has been going on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I think it's getting worse now today because of technology. And I think that maybe there's some reasons it's getting better because of technology. But think about the applicant tracking systems that every single company has today. Everybody is forced to upload their resume into this applicant tracking system, so they have to have one. And when they do that, if their resume isn't well written, in other words, they don't understand how to use keywords, then they're not going to get pulled up. And so how would a job seeker know they're supposed to use keywords? Like if you weren't,
or that they need to try and circumvent the ATS by finding someone on the other end beforehand.
Right, and that's a wonderful workaround. But again, people still don't know that because everybody thinks they have to play by the rules. So that sort of it leads to the second thing that I think is, the biggest challenge that job seekers face. They don't know how to find jobs. They think still that every company posts a job online when there's an opening, and that the most logical place to go to find a job fastest is to the job boards. And that's just not true.
Yeah, they don't know that the rules have changed.
Right. But why would they know that? That's why it breaks my heart. How would you know that? Your whole life, you've been taught to either go to the Help Wanted page, if you're older, or you go to the job boards. That's how you were trained to find jobs. But that's not how jobs get found. So that's the saddest thing. So if you can't, so those are the two things. You're not being able to write and talk about themselves in a way that matches up with what employers are looking for, and then not knowing how to really look for a job or how jobs are getting filled.
Yeah, no, I agree. You're right, and you need a resume that can be read by bots, but also it needs to be able to be read by people, and striking that balance is no small feat.
Absolutely. Why? No one is taught how to write a resume. Like, nobody goes to school to learn how to write a resume.
No, we don't learn that in high school, that's for sure. I don't think I learned it in college either. You're right.
No, we don't. And thank God that that there are professional resume writers out there, but most people are like, I don't want to have to pay somebody to do that. Right. And if they don't, and they have crappy writing skills, and they don't understand the salesmanship that goes into this, they're screwed.
Yeah. So what do you think people are most surprised by? Is it that the rules have changed, or is it something else?
So the one question I get most is from all the different people that I talk to is, so how do I go about this thing called job search? What am I supposed to be doing? I'm like, where do I start?
But yeah, I sense that people recognize, I need a resume because that's old school. But then what do you do with it?
Well, so they think that that's how you start the job search process. But I just wrote again about the fact that you can't start a job search by just updating the resume, because then you're not hitting the market needs. You've got to make sure that what you're writing on your resume is addressing the needs of what the jobs that you're looking for are looking for. So, it is that the fact that if you don't, for the rest of your life, build a network and stay in touch with people in the areas that you want to be working in, you're operating at a deficit. You really have to be nurturing a lifelong attitude of networking and staying in contact with people. That is, when you think about the people who are successful in this world, it's all because they're well connected, right?
Yeah, and so many people. What I find, though, is people that have always found their job through someone they know. Mm-hmm. They've never needed to look for a job, but then when they have to look, they don't think to go to those people.
Well, I know. Where's the breakdown in communication there? I mean, obviously, you've gotten every job by talking to somebody. Why wouldn't you find your next job that way, too, again?
Right. I think you've answered my next question, which is, what's the best piece of advice you can give someone who's thinking about making a move?
So all of those things, right? It is knowing about what the marketplace is looking for, because the work that somebody is doing now in a company doesn't translate to another company or even another industry. So you really need to have a good grasp of what the vocabulary is, what the language is, what the needs and wants are of that future new role that you're looking for, or that company that you want to work for. How are they speaking? What are they looking for? Or the industry that you're interested in. Here's the bottom line. People hire people who are interested in working for them. Like, a company wants to hire somebody not just to fill a seat, but I want to hire somebody who's really enthusiastic about working for my company. So if somebody can prove to me, because they are in communication with my employees, or because they are following me in the news, because they are knowledgeable about what my company is doing and what my competition is doing, and they're genuinely interested in what we're doing as a company, that goes a long way.
What do you say to people that, when I'm sharing advice on networking, it goes over super well with people that, in roles where that ability to forge relationships is just part of the job, like a sales role. But people that are more introverted or, it's tough for them. Do you have, and you talked about following someone, those are things that you can do to express interest without having to be as big of an extrovert about it. What advice do you have for people that know they need to network but just so not in their comfort zone?
So I'm an introvert myself, and I think I told you that. I confessed that when I first met you, that I don't like going out there and meeting people. And that's why I love writing, because I can do that without having to get out there. But what I know is you have to get out there once in a while.
Yeah.
So I love to go to conferences and events and professional organizations that are aligned with my interests. That's why I go to those things, right? Not only am I going to learn, but I'm hanging with people who are talking about the same stuff that I'm really passionate about. And I know walking into that room, I have something in common with every single person in that room. Easy conversation starters, right?
That's right. It takes the edge off the pain.
Absolutely. The other secret that I have is most people are not very good at self-promotion. I think it's really, really hard. So I have friends who are great at promoting me. In other words, they're sort of my fans, or they're my really good friends who have no problem talking about what I'm doing and to help spread the word. So we can call them an advocate, an ally. We can call them just those people that are well-connected. We all know people who are well-connected. So I tap those people when I have a message to get out into the universe, or I want, help and support. They're there to help me. They love doing that stuff.
Oh, so you're personal ambassadors, sort of.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's really good advice. So do you have any other advice for people that, they've been job hunting and it is not working? Where do you suggest they start sort of examining what's going wrong?
Well, let me start by saying that if people are frustrated and not successful in the job search, they need to find a group of people that can work together and collaborate in the job search process. Because working solo on the job search process is too demotivating. It's defeating. We need a team, right? Because we operate better and we can share ideas. We can learn from one another better when we operate as a team. Working solo is probably one of the top reasons why people fail in their job search. They think they can do it by themselves. You cannot. So join forces with other people. And luckily there's some job clubs around in various cities that people can join. But I will say most people don't take the time to really, as you're talking about, analyze, well, what have I been doing in my job search and why isn't it working? If somebody with a failing job search actually looked at how many applications did I fill out online, how many calls back did I get, how many first interviews did I get, how many second interviews did I get, they sort of keep track of some of the major milestones in the job search process. Even by looking at those numbers, they're going to see where there's a major fall off or there's a disconnect. Like it won't always be, every job that you apply for where you get a pre-screening interview. But if you've applied for 100 jobs and you've not gotten a single response back, I'm telling you something, the resume and the job application are off.
Right. Or if you're getting the interview and not getting to the second, then it tells you it's your interview.
Absolutely. Right.
Reverse engineer the process. Yeah, that's good advice. And keep track.
Yeah, I think it's hard for people to do that, but at least you'll know.
Yeah, and then if you have to devote some budget or some resources, you know where to spend your money. What about, and I'm sure you come across people like this, I know I do, people that they know that they want to do something different, that they can go in a number of different directions, very wide, diverse skill set. And that's a tough sell. My feeling is that hiring managers can't figure out what bucket to put you in, so they don't put you in any bucket when you appear to be a generalist. What do you say about that?
That is a really hard predicament. And so I think, if the job seeker can get enthusiastic about one or two particular job functions, that's the ideal scenario, right? Or if they can even get excited about working for like a host of companies, like let's say you've always wanted to work for a nonprofit helping children. Well, that alone, I don't care what role you're looking for, your interest in serving that population or focusing in on organizations, companies that do that is going to be enough to help somebody understand, we'll find a spot for her in whatever it is she might be qualified to do. But if you have enough interest in what a company is doing, that's going to be half the battle. What I think the employer oftentimes is afraid of is, oh, this person's just looking for a job, any job. They don't really want to work for me. It's almost like a relationship, right? So if I'm a company and I see that somebody is super interested in what we've done and what we're doing, what we're moving forward doing, well, already I'm like, oh, well, let me talk to this person and see where their skills are. It might be a little bit easier. So if you can't get excited about the job that you're focusing in on, maybe you can get excited about different companies that you would love to work for. Just approach the problem from a different angle.
And then if you are focusing on a host of companies or an organization, then you can position yourself as someone with diverse skills because it's about serving this industry or this community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, now I want to switch gears a little bit and ask your thoughts on age discrimination. I see it on both ends. Obviously, I'm at the older end of the age discrimination cycle, so I see more of my peers, but I think it happens too with people that are too young. What are your thoughts on the issue and how to address it?
Oh, my gosh. This is such a huge topic, and it has been going on for years. And I wish we could just wave our magic wand and wish it away. Right?
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen, right? So this is what I'm going to say. An employer only knows what we tell them. Right? So whether it's on the resume or on our LinkedIn profile or in a cover letter, if you don't want to be discriminated against or put into a stereotypical bucket, then don't give them the ammunition to put you in that bucket. So if you don't want people to think that you're an old fart, don't talk like an old fart. Prove to them that you're involved in, some of the newer technology or that you are a lifelong learner or that you're really physically active. Give them proof that you're not an old fart. If you are young and wise beyond your years, then you also need to prove that. Share examples of leadership that you've held, positions of leadership through volunteering or whatever. If you're young, but it doesn't look like you've had real work experience, but you have had work experience, share that. Maybe you've had some kind of volunteer role within your church organization or school. Provide proof and evidence that you aren't what people think you are.
I love that. I've always said you try to appear timeless. That should be the goal. Nobody needs to know if we are, 32 or 82.
Right.
To your point, don't give them the ammo.
Absolutely. They only know what we tell them. People always say, oh, they think they're discriminating against me because I'm old. I'm like, well, how would they know that? You told them.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. And you can pick pictures. LinkedIn sort of gives a sense of if you're 18 or 48. But my feeling is that people don't discriminate with LinkedIn in terms of looking at the picture, but they will make assumptions about people based on how the information is given to them in the text and certainly in the resume.
Because this is the thing, and I know you've run into these people too, people that are like 75 running circles around me who are just so young and with it and hip. And then you run into people who are, 50 that sound worse than your grandmother does, right? Like just asleep at the wheel, no passion, no enthusiasm. And, oh, by the way, they dress with like the old-fashioned glasses and their hairstyles out of the 1940s. I mean, people only know what you tell them and what you show them. So if you don't want to be you can't look like an old fart either. That doesn't mean you have to dye your hair.
If you show enthusiasm, that transcends a lot too. Like I just helped a 76-year-old man do a third career. He might have worn the old man glasses. I'm not sure because we spoke on the phone, but he got lots of offers. His resume did not, no one would have known how old he was, but he showed that he was passionate about what he did.
Absolutely. That makes all the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, it really did. I think you alluded to this earlier, but share with me a couple of tools that are absolute essentials for a job search. What can people not be without?
Okay, so there are like 100 billion things. So I'm going to narrow it down to what I think are the two most important things for anybody to have. And it's not just for job search, it's for their career. One is a personal website. So it is hannahmorgan.com, which I don't own, but it is yourname.com. If you can't get yourname.com, .net, whatever. You could also get at no cost about.me page. Either one of those and or both, I think, is an investment in the long haul of your career. You want to make sure that when an employer searches for you online, that you own the right content. And the only way you can do that is by having a personal website, an about.me page, something like that. The second most important thing that everybody needs, mostly for research, is a LinkedIn profile. You can't network without one today.
Yeah, it's a perfect PI tool for private sleuthing.
Yes. And so people are discouraged by LinkedIn because they can't get a job through it because they've been applying for jobs. And I'm like, well, it's not really a job search board. It's a networking tool. It's great for personal recognition as well.
That's true. What are your thoughts on paid versus free LinkedIn?
You know what? I have been using LinkedIn, I think only since 2008, maybe a little earlier. I don't pay for it. I've never needed to pay for it to get what I need from it.
Wow. Well, I pay for it, but I feel like I get more analytics from it.
Right, but you're using those analytics, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So if you're the average job seeker, I think there might be a couple of benefits to buying, upgrading to the premium version, but I will tell you that most job seekers are not going to use the functionality that they're paying for.
Right. You're right.
So you can see all of the people who've looked. Right.
Yeah, maybe just for the job search, but not for the career long term. And you can cancel month to month.
Right. Yeah, it's nice to be able to see everybody that's looked at your profile. That's great. But if you're not going to do anything with that, why are you paying for it?
That's right. How many emails do you get now with the free? Do you know?
None.
Zero?
None with
used
free.
to be a couple. Okay.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't get any more.
And how do you script that? What's your workaround for that?
I don't even have that many connections. I'm probably, 2,000, 3,000 connections on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Overwhelmed, not that many, right? So there isn't anybody on LinkedIn that I have not been able to connect with.
Okay.
So, but
the
other thing that I did when I was writing my book, there were a bunch of people that I didn't have any connections with. And so what I would do is I would go Google them, and I found out many of them had social media profiles on other places like Twitter that I could get to them. So I would communicate, initially with them. I'd say, hey, I'd really love to chat with you. I'm writing a book, and I'd love to get your opinion. Can you email me or send me a private message or whatever?
That's brilliant. So just, direct message them on social media.
Yep.
That'll save a lot of money because it's not cheap to do the paid. That's a brilliant idea.
Right. Sometimes they have their, other social media sites too, or their own personal website. So depending on the person, it may not be that hard.
Okay. All right. And you're right. It's just a little bit of digging.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the second to last question that I want to ask you about, I asked because you did it, I did it. Our careers sort of morphed, and we sort of had this, well, for me, I had a side business going. I had the resume writing business going while I was also doing other things. I have come across more and more people that are interested in doing that, but are scared to death, or want to explore a new career, but are scared to death to do it. What are your thoughts on treating that? It's, the term they're using now is side hustle, which I hate, but what are your thoughts on exploring a new career without diving in completely, but just sort of doing it on the side?
I don't know what would be scary about that. Honestly, you already still have the security of the current job income, so what's the risk, right? I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. If you're willing to put in, it's extra time, certainly.
Well, nobody has extra time, right? But if you're okay dedicating time to it, yeah, it is.
And what are your thoughts on your website and your LinkedIn when you're doing two things?
I think it really depends on what your side gig is and how it's relevant to where you want to be going. At some point, you may decide to make that shift and do more of what you're doing through your side gig. But until you know that for sure, I think you just leave it alone. Like you don't draw attention to the side gig until you really see it happening. And then so let's just assume that your side gig, like in your case, right, the resume writing is very much aligned with what you were doing, other places. Yeah. So it is marrying those two things. What's the commonality between your current job and your side gig? Marry that skill set or that passion or that interest and flesh that out.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it was a series of pivots until it was eventually I'd reached a full 180. But you're right, everything sort of, I was able to marry them all together.
Isn't there is always some common thread. Like the easiest thing is that usually,
I'm sure.
Yeah. And I think so for people looking for that side gig, there is something that you're doing already that you absolutely love and would love to do more of if you were being really honest with yourself. It could be, you love crunching numbers. Well, go find a way to crunch numbers, for crying out loud. Lots of people need numbers crunched, or whatever it is you love doing. You love analyzing data. You like making graphics. Whatever it is, it's something simple that you can sort of chunk out and focus your energy on, and you would love to do it. Like, that's the thing. If you don't enjoy doing it, you're not going to be able to make the time for it.
Right. And it doesn't feel like as much work. You don't miss sleep as much when you're interested in the work.
Right.
Well, all right. So speaking of career pivots, tell me what is next for you. What do you have next on your plate?
So people ask me all the time. I've written 2 books already. I'm not writing any more books. I'm done with
You're
book
not?
writing.
That was going to be my question. Oh, I love your book.
I know. I don't have it in me. Maybe in a few more years I'll think about writing a book. I think, so the problem with a book is that the shelf life literally is so short today. for so many of the things that I would be writing about. So
Right.
I think part of me has always wanted to be getting into this, what you're doing, podcasting or video blogging. So I'm thinking there might be no specific plans, but I think it's got to be there on the horizon for many different reasons.
Oh, exciting. All right. Well, you'll have to let us know.
Yeah, thanks. I will.
Spread the word. Well, Hannah, thank you so much. You've given this actionable advice, which I'm not surprised by, but I feel like people are going to be very inspired to hear what you have to say. I feel like you take a lot of the intimidation out of the job search, and you've certainly done that with some of these answers. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's all my pleasure. I've loved being able to chat with you about this, and you've asked really awesome questions that I think people listening to have and need answered. So all my pleasure, Virginia.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Resume Storyteller with Virginia Franco. To learn more about storytelling strategies to catch the eye of today's SKIM online readers, hiring and decision makers, go to www.virginiafrancoresumes.com.